Thankfully, there's only one Kirishima, because if there are two, we could have had a Metapod match. It's that time to shine or harden, because Kirishima is getting the development that he needs. Granted, he has been getting some here and there, but this one is more towards his reflection on what he can do as a hero. The chapter is straightforward, but it doesn't take away the joy and potential for future developments. The last chapter's cliffhanger made it clear that this one largely focusing on Kirishima, and it ends up so. It's not a plot-driven chapter like the previous ones, so if you're not a fan of that character, this wouldn't please you as much. Whether you're in for a character development or just a fan of his, this is certainly a nice treat that shows the mangaka wants to share each of these side characters' spotlight. The beginning made it clear that Kirishima is going to get all the spotlight as Fat Gum couldn't able to catch up to the suspect quick enough. I wonder why. Tamaki can't activate his quirk, and if we go by on what Shigaraki has said, then it is permanent. That would be a shame, to literally have a chapter to shine and never get it again. Maybe it's early to say, but it looks like that's all, folks. Basically, that leaves Kirishima to get the shine, which is reasonable enough. It goes into a small chase scene that ultimately ends with the guy trying to hit him, but because of his quirk can harden his body, is no use. The scene shifts to some kind of horror atmosphere, with the guy crying for being so pitiful and weak. It does match up well with the previous chapter, and why he even uses a gun. The guy believes he's weak and can't do any better. He feels like he's a burden and can't do anything to help his comrades. It felt like it was a normal guy doing the crime at the wrong time scene. You almost feel sorry for him. That is until the next scene. That's when it becomes haunting, when he sticks out a drug. I guess that's what happens when you have good beating the bad. The latter just overrides it. I thought it was a suicide drug, but then I remembered that this is actually a reference to the spin-off Vilagante. I don't even know if I say that right. That's actually pretty cool to introduce the drug from there to this series. It briefly explains it so it doesn't leave you lost. It connects well with the concept of the arc, focusing on drug enhancement or removal. In this case, it's the enhancement that boosts the quirk significantly. I like the situation Kirishima got into though. It puts him to the test, or more like his quirk limitation to the test. The guy's quirk can spread out and the blaze in a much further distance. The guy clearly lost his mind as he now acts like he is the best. People are in danger and Kirishima has to protect them alone. So this put a lot of pressure on him. It got to the point that even the blade actually hurts him, even though early on it didn't. What sells it though is the flashback at Kirishima when he actually felt a bit of distress in himself. His character hardly shows a sign of sadness or disappointment, so it's a rare moment, yet it's a much needed one. It's a simple yet meaningful character development. It does sound disappointing when a cheery guy ends up with a defense quirk type rather than a mid to long range distant fighter. Of course, he can fight as a brawler, but that's a close quarter combat, in which doesn't seem so helpful compared to the rest. It's a demonstration of a student being disappointed in what he is gifted. I believe he's the first one to show that kind of story, so this caught on to me. Bakugo can be a yo-yo in a scale of love or hate. You can hate him for his rowdiness, or you could love him for his serious and slice of brilliance display. The latter is no exception. It's a simple solution to Kirishima's dilemma, and I like how that's handled in a simple comparison. All Might is an embodiment of all heroes' trait, so instead of focusing on his brawler trait, it focuses on his defense and stamina. That's all he needs to know. It's a usual pushing forward segment, but it's nicely done with the reason behind it. The chapter is filled with strong emphasis on the boost as well as building up for a grander moment. The chapter may have gone by fast, but it is worth it to showcase the development. The shift of tone is nicely timed, especially on how in one moment you sort of feel sorry for that guy, and then you sort of want him dead. The guy has lost it, so I don't know what direction he will end up in. The spotlight is all on Kirishima, especially towards the end. It becomes clear on how this chapter becomes compare-contrast to those two characters. One has no self-confidence, in which led him to use shortcuts, and the other one was losing confidence but gained it tenfold, in which led him to evolve his quirk. That's well played. It ends on a really good note with a new form. His new form, Unbreakable, looks pretty damn impressive. I like how he looks like somewhat a cross between a dinosaur and a rock, and yet it's still him that just happened to appear that way. The impressive visual continues to impress. I look forward to how much damage he can do. The chapter is simple yet pretty enjoyable. It's a pleasing development with a new cool looking form and a nice cliffhanger to see what Kirishima can do in it. It's a character focused chapter that may not please all, but the appreciation is warranted. I'm giving this chapter an 8. Yes, I know it's not a plot-driven chapter, but it's still good when it comes to developing a character. We're going to see a lot more from other characters, so that's a good sign. At least that's what I'm seeing right now. What are your thoughts of this chapter? Do you like Kirishima even more? Personally, I like him already, so this one actually pleases me, but I still like the chapter without being the focus on him. Just the idea behind this chapter that makes me pleased. One way or another, it's a win-win for me. And that will do it for today's review. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you like this and want more of this, subscribe to my channel and my world will be yours to stay. Until next time, take care.